something that was to me perfectly summarized. We recently watched the movie The Green Book, which is an amazing movie.
Brilliant movie.
And there's this one phrase that to me just perfectly summarizes that, which is this: the world is full of lonely people afraid to make the first move.
Ooh.
The world is full of lonely people afraid to make the first move. And this is something that I think is just, I found this to be true in so many ways. And not just about loneliness, which I think is true. I think we have a huge problem with loneliness and social disconnection in our world, right? It's our social ties are in trouble in general, but not just for loneliness. See, the thing is, for me, as an example, I have a lot of interests or a lot of ways of social interaction that are, or that at least initially seemed like they're unusual, and I felt alone in that. So I think it's easy to think that yes, there are these things that I want, that I long for socially, but I'm the only one. And I think, a typical example of this is that for me, I'm interested in personal growth. I'm interested in, like, I'd rather have a long conversation about books or some idea or something while sitting around than to go out and party and drink or even watch a movie or something like that. And it's easy to feel alone in that. It's easy to look around and be like, well, it seems like everybody just wants to party all the time. It seems like and nobody's interested in having any interaction that doesn't involve them being intoxicated first, right? And so to feel like, well, poor me, I'm the only one who wants something else, I guess I'm just going to be alone forever. And also, let me just point out here, you could also feel a bit good about that. Maybe you feel like all these other people are so shallow. But I'm special. I'm special because I want to talk about books instead of watch movies. If only other people were as cool as me. So you can like be the victim and feel really good about being the victim as well. And that could, I'm mentioning that as well because, well, it's kind of funny, but also but also because that can be something that makes you want to hold on to that worldview, and you got to let go of that worldview if you want to be less lonely, basically. Because as it turns out, what I've discovered is that yes, going out and getting drunk and doing like this kind of entertainment and consumption based stuff, that's the socially sanctioned stuff. That's what everybody does. That's what you see everywhere. But loads and loads of people have exactly the same feelings as me about this. Loads of people would rather sit around on a cozy couch and talk for hours instead of being drunk at a bar. And all you have to do is like be the first to make the suggestion, So that's something that I just started doing, is that I do the social events, the social things that I organize are simply aligned with the things that I like doing. So they tend to be, so obviously I don't organize a bar crawl. They tend to be things that are either like active, doing stuff outside, or like I said, literally find a way to get people together, start a book club and have people explicitly, we're going to meet and talk about books. And you'll find that obviously not everybody is thrilled about this, but the people who want the same thing and have maybe been longing for this for years and years, but they just never said anything, are right there already in your social circle, So you just got to go first. You just got to be the one who says, this is what I want. Let's make this happen. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So something I wanted to mention was, I guess, an overly self-aware, slightly uncomfortably self-aware reason why and this relates to something you mentioned just then, is that this sort of you feeling pretty good about that, like, yeah, all these people, they're getting drunk and I'm not, what's wrong with them, kind of thing. And something I recognized in my own journey to improving my social circles and stuff is that it came to a certain point where I had to recognize that one of the things that was creating this, what I used to call this 3-inch thick field of like glass, 3-inch thick glass between me and everyone else, was actually my own sense of, I guess, grandiosity. Whereas inside, I thought that in some sense, I thought that I was a little bit better than people. And I'm talking a few years ago. I thought I was a little bit better than people, and I didn't want to reach out because part of me was like, no, I shouldn't have to reach out. People should want to reach out to me. And I thought it was just worth mentioning because it's an interesting realization I kind of had, that I wouldn't have changed things for myself if I'd not have made that realization, you know. And then, yeah, the things that I felt grandiose about, which might have been that at the time, or like I was into spirituality at the time, I developed like this spiritual ego. People who meditated and people who didn't. It's like, people who don't meditate, oh, do you not realize what that's doing for you? It's like, oh yeah, it's doing working wonders for me, sat there judging everyone, isn't it? You know. But until I started to let that go, it's like right now I don't like when people go out and party and stuff, or when people get drunk, or even alcoholics and stuff. I like to just repeat the mantra to myself. It's a tough life, you know. Life is tough. Life is hard. You know, no matter what they're experiencing or what they're going through or how they're dealing with it, it's like, look, I do not know the first thing about their life. I could just see someone who's an alcoholic who's getting drunk at like 9:30 in the morning. Like, I could be like, yeah, self-development ego. That person should, I could notice this ego kick off. But the fact is, I just don't know what their life has been like. And when I experience this, and it's important for me to mention this, because when I repeat that to myself and when I remember this, it makes me feel connected to the person. It's like, yeah, you're dealing with a tough life, mate. I'm dealing with a tough life too. It's just I've decided to meditate and deal with it that way. And you drink, but we're dealing with the same life and the same, the same suffering, the same circumstances. I hope you'll be okay. Rather than, yeah, you should meditate. It's like, hellfire. It's like, so
this kind of self-righteousness can, it's one of the ways in which we deceive ourselves. And on that note as well, like taking the other person's perspective, I think a mistake that we easily make when it comes to our social connections is that we feel like, well, I'm not going to reach out to this friend because they never reach out to me. And, if they really cared about me, then they would. Like, listen, go through your contacts right now and ask yourself, how many of these people do you genuinely like and you haven't reached out to them in ages? Be quite a lot. So why can't they be the same? Some people are just not good at that, okay? Some people are just not good at maintaining social relationships. And do I have to turn that into some kind of a pissing match of, but I contacted you the last 2 times? No, it's fine. We like each other. You're really bad at this. It's fine. I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that we stay in touch. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, because if you follow that self-righteous track through to its end, you'll be in a room alone.
Yeah.
Looking at your phone contact group and just like, that person should have reached out. Oh, fuck that guy. I'm not reaching out to him. It's like, yeah, you enjoying this? Because you sat here alone. You're not seeing anyone in days.
Yeah, exactly.